External jugular.
External jugular. If you didn't get a good view of the external jugular, you can't miss it here. Anybody have trouble with the external jugular? Here it is, really coming up the side of the neck. External. And very thick. And you remember this muscle right underneath it was the mastoid. So here's the external jugular lying right on top of the sternomastoid and going up to the masseter, which is up here. Now you notice two bumps on either side of this right here and right here. They're nothing we're doing today, which is why I want you here because I'm going to take them off. But maybe you guys can tell them what they are to the rest of the group.
Glands from the lymph system.
Lymph nodes. Who hasn't touched a lymph node? Yeah, they are. That's why another reason I wanted to look at them here because they're really good looking in this cat. Big lymph nodes. Might have had, if they're really swollen on a person, swollen glands usually indicate some kind of an infection. The worse the infection, the bigger they swell. Mononucleosis can make a great big thing of those glands. So there they are. We're going to lift them up. Off come the lymph nodes. We're going to take them right back off the top. Leave them attached to their external jugular vein and peel them back. You can come back and see this one at any point and see the two lymph nodes attached to the external jugular vein. Those are great landmarks. Now we can see what else is going on in here. One other perfect landmark is the masseter muscle right here wrapping around the jaw. And this, see this little string here? What's that? Who knows what that is? It's actually not a nerve, but it looks a lot like a nerve.
Is it a ligament?
It's not a ligament. It's going from, let me show you what this is at the end of it. The parotid gland over the masseter into the mouth.
Salivary gland?
It's a salivary gland duct. And here's the salivary gland it's attached to right here at this end. And like I said, that's big in terms of a circle, but it's not thick. And it doesn't kind of come out real easily. It just sits here like that.
And that's what? Parotid?
Parotid gland. And this is its
Duct.
parotid gland duct. And the muscle it lies over is the masseter. Now notice this parotid runs right up to this gland right here, which you couldn't even see when it was hidden like this. When we peel back the lymph nodes, we see a big gland down here, and this one everybody likes because it's easy to, it looks like a gland and it comes away from the body like a little circle. We don't want to pull it all the way out or off the cat. What we just want to do is lift it out enough so that you can see it is a big separate gland here.
And what is it?
And we want to make a guess?
I would have guessed thyroid, but I don't think it looks like.
No, the thyroid's pretty small here. I don't know if we'll even be able to see it. This big thing is, another guess. Take a closer look.
Is it a submandibular gland?
Yes, submandibular gland. Good guess. So we have a parotid gland duct, a parotid gland right up by the ear, and under the jaw, the submandibular gland. That leaves us only the sublingual for the third salivary gland. That one does not show well, but what you can see of it is to pull the and here I hope I don't remove the submandibular totally, but pull on the submandibular, and along its duct lies the sublingual, which is going to travel along its duct and go in under the tongue here. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it very well. Okay, here we have the big submandibular. Here we have what looks like a duct, but just a wee bit thicker. The thickness on it is the sublingual gland.
Okay.
It just, would that be on the test? Probably. Who's looking for the test? Right there. This one you don't really need because it's hard to mark that little tiny sublingual gland. But what about the submandibular gland?
Yes.
Okay. And even the parotid, although things get a little less clear here, something marked up here by the ear would be the parotid gland. Okay. Well, as long as I'm here, let's look at the next thing on the list, which is,
The palate, the soft palate, hard palate. soft
okay, we
palate,
need the
tongue.
bone cutters here. Who's gonna cut the bone for me? Oh, I know, he was gonna cut his
Travis?
cat's bone. Okay, come and watch what we do, and then you can do your own cat over
Yeah,
there.
no,
Don't try to sit.
you can definitely.
And these are the bone cutters. And just stick them in the jaw here, and you cut. It takes some strength, believe it or not. Now, I feel bad doing this cat. I really would rather do that other cat because they have such nice glands here. Let's bring that nasty half-empty cat over. Be perfect for this job. Because I'm just realizing as you cut on this side, you lose your salivary glands.
Oh my god.
This cat has been
Got it.
eviscerated.
My God.
Oh my God.
But it makes it easier for us to use for this purpose.
I already cut some of its,
Yeah, that's perfect. We're gonna now cut down along the tongue and lower it, make it even further, going even further back here. This is why it, now I'm running into a problem with the bone that I just cut. That bone, it's not the bone you cut already, but the hyoid bone. So I just am cutting the hyoid bone to get it even further back.
The hyoid is part of the top of the vertebrae?
It's about,
Above T1?
it's not really attached to the cervical vertebrae, but it is
It's
very
above it,
close to them. And it's on that chart, they turn that man to his side and look for something white. I think at the bottom of the blue, there might be at the top of the blue, you see a hyoid?
It's this one, right?
No, way down under his jaw.
Under his jaw.
Yeah, right under his jaw on the anterior, very much the front. Nothing under his jaw, like a baby jaw?
No.
Okay, we'll show it on the
Wait,
skeleton
here and
next.
here. The white in here?
Yes, yes. See that white on the top of the larynx? That's the
Around a little bit.
hyoid. Yeah, bring that over and show everybody the white. I just
Number
cut through
7.
that. Number 7, the hyoid bone. And so now we're pulling back his tongue. You can see we've really pulled it back. And we have this, and she's going to put the probe in the glottis. This is, yep. Now right in, go a little anterior.
Yes.
Spread those 2 vocal cords and put that probe in the glottis. What she's done here is made an airway. This has to be done if someone's airway is closed, they have to intubate.
Yep.
And this is hard to do. You have to get between these 2 bumps here.
Those are the vocal cords?
Those are the cartilage associated with the vocal cords, yep. Got to see the vocal cords, and you got to go into the glottis between them. Once you intubate, you're into the respiratory system, and you should
There we
be
go.
able
Now
to
you
see
got
that
it.
that goes down to the trachea. So when in the larynx, we traveled through the larynx and got down here to the trachea. You see it moving in the trachea there? Very important to get between,
Can we see the
Is
epi?
this the glottis right there, though? Right, that
Is
pointy
that
thing?
the epi?
that's the epiglottis. Epiglottis. I have my probe in the glottis, and then that's the
That
epiglottis.
So you want to make sure that's flipped up when you're doing a.
Yeah, that would be toward the front.
This little piece?
Is that's what closes to keep food from going down
This
into
one.
the
Right.
trachea?
That, you'll be bending back to cover the trachea when you're eating and swallowing. Okay, now let's look at what happens if you make a mistake during intubation. Everything is unclear, you can't see where you're going, you go behind. And then you're not in the trachea anymore, you're in
Esophagus.
the esophagus, behind the trachea. See
So
that
much
one right there?
smaller.
Well, the esophagus is not small, it's collapsed.
Okay.
So when you
Got nothing in
separate
it.
them, the esophagus is this, the food pushes its own way along the esophagus. It doesn't need to be held open by cartilage rings because it is,
Smooth muscle and
it,
peristalsis.
food is solid and air can't push its own pathway along. So there, did you see the esophagus even back there? So now we want to trace the esophagus from here, behind the heart, a little further down. We want to go back behind the heart here. See some more esophagus. Right next to the big blood vessel, the aorta. And make sure you can tell the difference between them. I mean, they don't look that different. This is the aorta. This is the esophagus. The aorta should be a bit whiter, but you can see the little red things sticking off it.
Yeah, you can tell it's red.
Those are the intercostal arteries that were pulled. And this is what?
Esophagus.
The esophagus. Comes up here, and you have more esophagus up here. Okay, what else is on that list there? Oh, you can find these things pretty easily. The palates.
Yeah.
Hard palate, soft palate, soft. If I go under the soft palate and forward, you'll see there's no uvula in the cat. That would be right there, not there. What else is on this? Oral pharynx, not very clear on the cat. We'll have to look at the human for that. I'll bring the head over and we'll look at the oral pharynx together.
What was it that closed off the nares and the eustachian tubes?
The soft palate. So this right here would work in the cat too.
The vagus nerve and the soft palate.
So the vagus is going to have to lift up this soft palate and uvula and close off this opening. Here's our, what's this blue piece here?
Epiglottis.
Epiglottis. Brown is soft palate. The hole is the
Falsies.
fauces. And then this area right behind it, right back here, is in the
The oral.
oral pharynx. So that is one many people get wrong, actually. You put a thing into the oral pharynx and they call it by mistake mouth. But it isn't mouth, it's behind the fauces here, so we're in the oral pharynx. Oral pharynx, not mouth. Then we get down to the laryngopharynx, behind the epiglottis there. Laryngopharynx ends right where you separate the esophagus from the larynx. So we have pharynx, soft palate, hard palate, tongue, oral pharynx, laryngopharynx. We
Down
did
to
the
the stomach.
esophagus. We're down to the stomach.
Right. Open, right?
And we want to open the stomach. Whose cat is this? Oh, we can't open their stomach
There's
because
none.
there is no stomach.
Yeah, no stuff.
We're just about done with that cat. Let's bring back this beautiful specimen here. As we leave the chest, though, let's make sure we all know what these soft organs are here. Lungs. We're going past this skirt steak, or what's that muscle?
Diaphragm.
Diaphragm. Here's our liver. What's this thing here with a little bit of yellow in it? No, another try.
Spleen.
Spleen. Now the gallbladder was mentioned, so come closer. And let's open up this two parts of the liver here and look for a small green thing in here.
It looks more black.
You're okay.
Yeah, black would be another description of it. But it's soft. You can see I can poke this,
Yeah, it's a
but
lot different.
it doesn't do anything. But here, the fluid in that sac moves a little bit.
And where's the pancreas? Yes.
Okay, so this is the liver. Let's lift up the greater omentum. Now, we tried to keep the greater omentum intact so that we could find the pancreas. This one does not have much greater omentum, but the pancreas remains. Take the greater omentum, not much left. Move it forward. We'll have a better greater omentum for you in a minute.
Big circle, right?
We find the pancreas.
Stuff that was so
A lot of people think it's just extra stuff, but it stores fat, and it's a good thing to tell you where different things are. You pull this forward, upward, superiorly, cranially to the head, And you'll see that right along the duodenum here, there's a very flat gland here. It's about as wide as the duodenum, that gland. Sort of a brownish stuff, but more glandular, right next to the duodenum. It comes up this far, and that makes a right-hand turn. So it's like an L shape. It comes up here, then it turns to the right here, and it comes across here. And here's the head of it, the end of it.
Wow.
And that
So
is
it is
That's the pancreas.
pancreas. Up for 1.5 inches and across for 2
That whole
inches.
thing?
That whole thing is
Wow.
pancreas. This is the thin part of it, then it turns a corner and it
Is it
becomes more
like that in
this.
us?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, it's
Wait,
not
what?
exactly like that in us. You want to bring our guts from that guy? Do we have
duodenum right.
That thing on
Can you
the-
show the,
Yeah.
like with your point of the pancreas again?
Okay, we're going to start here right along the duodenum.
Okay.
This area right here looks like it's kind of bumpy and brown. That's the first part of the pancreas. Then it's turning the corner here and coming along here. And there's the end of the pancreas right there, right by the spleen.
Okay, and then that's the spleen.
And there's the spleen right there and the pancreas right there. And he's going to bring over that part with the pancreatic duct in white. That's perfect.
Yes.
Yep. Here we are in the human. Similarities, there's the duodenum in the human and the pancreas nestled right in beside it.
Okay.
Then the pancreas does come across also. So all the green bumpy stuff is pancreas. And the line here is the pancreatic duct. Pancreas from behind, duodenum, pancreas. And the green thing is the cystic duct from the gallbladder. The cystic duct comes here and joins with the duct from the liver and forms a common bile duct. So I should say common bile duct. Now keep in mind where this common bile duct is entering the duodenum here. And we'll go on the other side and find an opening right there, the pink duodenopapilla. That's where the bile enters. But not only the bile, also the pancreatic duct enters there.
So is that something we're gonna have to know for a practical?
Yes, it's on the list. Isn't it duodenopapilla?
Yeah, it's right here.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the duodenum on that model?
Right here.
Okay.
Looks like a letter C. It's cut open to show a duodenopapilla where the pancreatic juice enters and the bile.
On the back, the cystic.
Oh, we're gonna call it the common bile duct. The
Common
cystic
bile
duct
duct.
would end here and the common bile
that
duct.
goes into the duodenum, right there.
Mhm.
Okay. So
At a bump called the
common bile
duodenopapilla.
duct on, like,
Bump in the
outside of
duodenum.
I'm sorry, the
back.
pancreatic juice in the bile goes to where?
Pancreatic juice coming here in the pancreatic duct, entering the duodenum here at the duodenopapilla.
And then is the
The
common
Where
common
does
bile
that
duct,
follow to after the?
after it gets in the duodenopapilla, it just mixes with the food here in the small intestine. So pancreatic juice is used to digest all the food in the small intestine. Once it drips out of this papilla, mixes with the food, has a lot of enzymes and base and everything to help digest food. We skipped ahead to the duodenum and the pancreas. We left the stomach hanging, so let's go back and get the stomach. Kind of jumped ahead here. Here's the stomach. Can you see the
Greater curve.
greater curve? And the greater omentum. Now here's where the greater omentum attaches to the spleen. You can see it a little better. That mushy stuff.
All of this is
All of it.
greater momentum,
All
right?
greater omentum. And in here, do you see the lesser omentum? Here's the lesser curve and that thin,
So that's liver.
that's more liver from behind. Lesser omentum coming from the lesser curve. What?
The omentum stores fat.
Mm-hmm. What are the other parts of the stomach you have to know? The fundus, if you're gonna ask the fundus, we would put the pin right in the top of the stomach, right where it bumps up above where the esophagus enters. That's gonna be the fundus of the stomach. The body of the stomach in the middle, and then as the lesser curve turns around the corner, it gets quite a bit smaller, and before it enters the small intestine, it's the pylorus of the stomach. Fundus, body, pylorus.
When
Now we-
people have gastric bypass, is that part of what's removed, the pylorus,
They-
the bottom?
They don't actually remove in the gastric bypass, they,
Put something on it,
they,
right, around it?
they can do a banding, that's slipping something around it. But they can make a bypass from, not letting the food go into the duodenum, but going into the end of the small intestine, because the duodenum does a lot of absorbing, so you just don't absorb
Okay, so you
that
don't
food.
absorb fat.
And what
Yeah.
about the sleeve when they remove?
The sleeve, they just put a sleeve around the stomach so that it
Shrinks it.
Doesn't
can't get
expand.
big. Yeah, can't expand as
Okay.
much. People, people get around that. Gradually, they
Yeah,
expand
it's
it anyway.
expanded. You were gonna cut it open and show us the ridges?
Yes, let's go look for the ridges. Now, in cutting open, where's my, let's see, scalpel. Here it is. We'll go right on the greater curve, right here, to open it up.
Oh, so you're, okay.
You can do this in the open lab with your own cat. Who knows what it ate, right? It's always a, oh, it hasn't eaten,
Nothing.
hasn't eaten very recently. What do you call those?
Ridges.
Rugae.
Rugae?
R-U-G-A-E.
Oh, wow.
And you can see that there's a lot of possibility for extension. They
What is
can all be.
this?
And this is his hair. This cat is eating hairballs. You know cats, they lick their hair, they make hairballs.
That was awesome.
The hairballs get stuck. Sad situation with the cat.
That was almost digested all the way. Because that's going into the small intestine, right?
Yep, yep. So those are the rugae in the stomach. Now we can justifiably do the small intestine. Here's the
great.
juncture between stomach and duodenum. That's the pyloric sphincter right there. A real tight circular muscle right there. Then we come around here like the letter C. You see all that coming around? I'll put this on this side. And it comes around here. But then it stops looking like a C. You can see how it folds back here. That's the end of the duodenum. So just where it comes smoothly around to a C like that is duodenum. This fold right here marks changing to, what's the next part? Jejunum.
Yeah, that one.
Uh-oh, there's some, what's that?
Momentum.
Greater omentum came right off in my hands. Sorry, we'll put that with the hairball. Now, half of this is jejunum and half is ileum, and there's no real good marker between them. So you're gonna ask, how am I going to put a pin in there and ask you to say if it's jejunum or ileum? Very big problem. So with the jejunum, we'll try and do it shortly after it makes its turn here. So you can see that's the early jejunum. And then we'll just wait until we get to the other end and look for a clue for the ileum. Turn, turn, turn. Here. Here's the large intestine. You can see how much bigger its diameter is. Here's the small intestine. This would be the ileum then. Any mark at this end would be ileum. And at the other end was jejunum, and then after the stomach is the duodenum.
So then you have the ascending, the transcending, transverse and descending.
Yes, now the cat does not have a good flexure. So we have the ascending. This is called the hepatic flexure. It's not a great right-hand turn, but it's there. You have a small area for transverse colon, and some of the cats you can't even tell it's going across because you can see it kind of not straight again. And then this you can see real clearly though. After it makes its second flexure, it goes straight down. And that's your descending colon.
And where does the cecum come in?
And, okay, there's no sigmoid colon
Sigmoid?
in the cat,
Sigmoid.
and we're not gonna do the rectum. But over here, we do have the cecum. So
That's
notice
before the
where the ileum is, and
ascending.
there's the ascending colon. Food can come in just at the bottom of the ascending colon, and it could fall down this little piece here called the cecum. You see any appendix hanging from the cecum? No, cat has no appendix.
Oh.
Don't look too hard. You'll get it in your face for that. It has no appendix, but the human would. So let's look at the human. What's this part of the small intestine entering? The large intestine.
That's the cecum, right?
The cecum is brown, gray, like the large intestine.
Yeah.
This is small intestine, light green, and you said
Ileum.
ileum. The ileum enters the cecum at the ileocecal valve or sphincter, and that's on the list. So there's he always wants to know what's on the list, ileocecal valve or sphincter.
Can you spell
Now,
Will we see that?
it's on there,
the
yes,
appendix?
we're gonna find it on the cat. To see it on the cat, it's inside, so we have to cut, we're gonna cut on the back of the large intestine here, down the cecum. Now, to see this, we need paper towel. We need some paper towel, some damp and some not so damp. Because this is not empty. We're gonna kind of wash off the damp one.
Would you like it dry or no?
Yeah, more paper towel doesn't hurt. Because, you can only see it if you get this stuff out.
Is it still bolus when it's down that low?
No, we can change it to chyme. So it
Oh,
went from
from the
bolus when
stomach.
you swallowed it,
To chyme in the stomach.
yeah, to bolus in the esophagus, chyme in the stomach, chyme in the small intestine, chyme in the large, chyme to feces in the large intestine.
Is it C-H-I, you mean?
CHY. Chyme. Now can you see a sphincter? It's a circular muscle with a hole in the center.
Cool.
That's the ileocecal sphincter. Sphincters look all the same. They don't look too different than other sphincters.
It's very distinct though.
Yeah.
It
You
is.
wouldn't miss ileocecal sphincter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Here's the ileum. Down here's the cecum, and that connection is ileocecal sphincter. Okay, what else do we have on the list?
Mesentery.
Mesentery.
Oh yeah, mesentery is beautiful. This
Yeah,
was kind of ugly, but the mesentery is quite nice. See how thin it is? And what a good idea. Otherwise, these blood vessels and nerves will get tangled. But they have a membrane on this side, a membrane on that side. They're sandwiched in between, and they're kept in place.
And those are the mesentery.
The mesentery is that real thin membrane there holding the blood vessels.
Cecum.
The mesentery here is fake. It looks thick, not transparent. It would be better to have it be
Clear.
clear and filmy like that. Next thing,
Cecum.
we did
We did them all. Right
Okay,
colic
next page.
flexure.
right colic flexure. Okay,
Yeah.
we did the right colic flexure, which was
The ascending colon. That's all.
ascending colon or hepatic flexure. We called it hepatic, meaning it's near the liver. The left is the splenic,
Splenic.
and that is hard to identify on the cat. Would you use this? Probably. So not a great turn though, right there. And it's somewhat near, but not really all that close to the spleen. Here, we have the right flexure and the left flexure. Where's the other part of our large intestine? There it is. Yeah, let's put it on so you can see the flexures better. There's the right flexure, comes across the transverse, there's the left flexure. And the human has an S-shaped colon because the descending colon goes along the left side, has to get back to the center to exit through the anus. So it needs a S-shaped or sigmoid colon. And when it straightens out, that's the rectum. Rectum is straight. The lighter color is the anal canal, and the opening is the anus. Okay, what did we, I forget, liver, gallbladder, pancreas,
it all.
pancreatic duct, and spleen. So turn to 40 and see what we have on the